and welcome to the free law answer writing initiative of Chrysalis Ideas. Today is day 1 of the program and the question for today is dedicated to constitutional law. Let's see what was the question. The question was, what do you understand by the term transformative constitutionalism? And you had to attempt it as a 15 marker. Now, you would also been provided with an answer approach to this question on our website. And this answer approach indicates what are the broad aspects that you need to cover as part of your introduction, your main body, as well as your conclusion. Okay, so as you can see, the introduction needs you to explain the term constitutionalism and link it to the term transformative constitution. So transformative constitutionalism has its roots in the word transformative constitution, right? So therefore, you need to start your answer with the concept of transformative constitution and then go on to explain what do you mean by transformative constitutionalism. Then in your main body, you need to elaborate on this transformative aspect and highlight the various transformations envisaged in our constitution. Okay, so the help of various examples, you'll have to indicate what kind of transformations were envisaged by the framers of our constitution and how they have been included as part of the various provisions of our constitution. Okay, and then of course, after discussing about the various principles and the descriptive part of the answer, you need to substantiate your content with the help of case laws. Case laws such as those which will highlight the transformative character as has been laid down by the various judgments of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. Okay, so this is purely from an illustrative point of view. Even if you are not able to dedicate a substantial chunk of your answer to the case laws, it's all right. The main content needs to be this first aspect of the main body. That is where you are highlighting the various transformations that were envisaged by the framers of our Indian Constitution. Then, as a part of the conclusion, you need to touch upon the transformative and evolving nature of our fundamental rights. Okay, so the most dynamic portion of our entire constitution can be said to be part 3 of our constitution, and part 3, which consists of the fundamental rights, they are of a dynamic and ever evolving nature. So that is the best way in which you can link this transformative aspect, which is a so-called abstract aspect. Okay, you can link it to the express provisions that have been laid down in the constitution in the part 3 of the constitution, that is fundamental rights. Right, so what was the first thing that we had to cover as part of our introduction? We had to explain the concept of constitutionalism. Right, so what exactly is constitutionalism? It is nothing but an idea or a philosophy that our society can be organized according to some established principles or core ideals. Now, the possibility of organizing our society, the society in which we live in, according to these established principles or core ideals, led to the creation of our constitution. Okay, so we're talking about some established principles, some core ideals. So in the context of India, where can we find these established principles or core ideals? We can find them in the constitution. Okay, so what exactly is constitutionalism helping us to do? It is helping us in moving towards the idea of India that was envisaged by constitutional framers. Right? So this is how you will start any answer on the topic of constitutionalism in general. Okay, you will start with explaining the concept of constitutionalism, and then as part of the main body of that answer, you will be discussing concepts of constitutional supremacy, constitutional morality, social justice, etc. Right? Now let's move on to the next part, that is how do we link this to the concept of transformative constitution. So what had we said? We said that in the Indian context, these established principles or core ideals are to be found in the Constitution of India. Now, Constitution of India is what type of a constitution? It is a type of transformative constitution. And therefore, the idea that prevails in India is that of transformative constitutionalism. Alright, so you started with the explanation of the word constitutionalism, then you moved on to link it with the term transformative constitution, and then you are ending up with why or what is transformative constitutionalism in Indian context. Alright, so this is how you can also write an introduction in just 2 to 3 lines, an introduction which is very concise but at the same time highly relevant for the particular question. After the introduction, we'll start with the main body paragraphs, and in the very first paragraph of your main body, you will be elaborating on the concept of transformative constitution. Okay, so what is a transformative constitution? A constitution which transforms the relationship between individual and state. Okay, so the relationship between individual and state is transformed from that of a colonial rulers and subjects kind of a relationship to the citizens of a republic kind of a relationship. Okay, so this individual over here was just a subject, but here this individual has been transformed into a citizen. Here the type of a state was that of a colonial state, but now we're talking about a republic which has an elected head of a state. All right, so this is how you will illustrate the transformations. Transformation of this individual who was just a subject, okay, before independence. Now, after independence and after the adoption of our constitution, that same subject has been transformed to a citizen. And which type of a citizen? A citizen which enjoys the entire gamut of civil and political rights. Okay, so if you want, you can use this kind of a representation in your answers as well. Okay, make use of these kind of arrows and the from and to headings, or you can write it in a paragraph format as well. The next heading that we need to cover as part of our main body is that of purpose. Now, what is the purpose of adopting such a transformative constitution? So that it helps to transform the society for the better, and it helps to embrace the ideals that have been enshrined in the preamble to our constitution. Okay, so by making the separate heading of purpose, you are drawing the attention of the examiner, okay, to a specific aspect that you're covering in your answer, and you're not writing about something totally different or an answer which is not directly relevant. Rather, here also you're trying to explain the transformative aspect or transformative nature of our constitution, that it helps in transforming the society for the better. It helps in embracing of the ideals that have been enshrined in the preamble. Fine. Now the next heading after the purpose would be that of role. Now here again, you can try and use this kind of a representation using arrows and from and to columns. Okay, or you can write it in a paragraph format. Okay, so what does a transformative constitution play a role in? It plays a very important role in guiding the nation to transform from a medieval and hierarchical society to egalitarian democracy, to embrace the ideals enshrined in the preamble to our constitution. So it's the same aspect that you have used here under purpose. You are linking it over here also. Okay. So this transformation from and to, okay, from the medieval and hierarchical society to the egalitarian democracy will be illustrated subsequently in the answer using case laws. Further ahead in the main body, you can add a new dimension by comparing US constitutionalism with Indian constitutionalism. So what are we going to say? We are going to say that US constitutionalism is a type of reactive constitutionalism, whereas Indian constitutionalism is a type of proactive constitutionalism. Why is it called a proactive constitutionalism? Because it envisages a central role of the state. State doesn't just include the legislature and the executive, but also the judiciary. All right, so we've mentioned here including courts. Okay, so there's a central role of the state in emancipating, okay, and constantly developing the constitutional ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Fine. So this kind of a proactive role that has been envisaged in the context of Indian Constitution is absent in US Constitution. Okay, so in the case of US, the federal state has not been entrusted with any such role that we are talking about in the context of Indian Constitution. Thereafter, in the last part of the main body, we'll be covering some of the case laws. Now, please understand that what is the role of using case laws in an answer. You don't have to fill your entire answer with only case laws. You've got to use them at the right place in a relevant manner and as concisely as possible, concisely yet relevantly, so that it is able to convey the main point for which it is being used. Okay, so over here, what is the purpose of including case laws? It is to illustrate the transformative character of our constitution. Fine. So, in the very first case, Harsh Mandel versus Union of India, Delhi High Court had decriminalized begging, right? So, provisions of the Anti-Beggary Act were struck down, right? And yes, Anti-Beggary Act was a colonial relic. So, it was a good sign of moving away from a colonial relic towards a modern egalitarian democracy, right? Similarly, in State Singh Johar versus Union of India, Indian Young Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala, and also Joseph Shine versus Union of India, various other provisions have been struck down. Now, what is common in all these cases? The common factor in all these cases was that the court in each of these cases discussed about the transformative constitutionalism aspect. So in each of these cases, the courts observed that the constitution is transformative in character in the sense that it grants the promise of full citizenship to those hitherto deprived and marginalized. Okay, so if you look at the examples of these case laws, what is the court eventually trying to do? The court is eventually trying to uphold the fundamental rights of citizens, right? So when we're talking about full citizenship, we're talking about upholding the rights that come along with the status of citizenship. Fine. Now, as I told you that the main purpose of including case laws in an answer is just to illustrate. Here, I have included an exhaustive list of case laws. You do not need to write each and every case in your answer. Okay, I've given you 4 examples. Now it is up to you. Whichever ones you think you'll be able to remember more easily, you can try and include them as part of your notes as well, and then include them in the final answer. Last but not the least, we'll be covering the conclusion. Okay, so you do not need to necessarily put a heading of conclusion per se, but this is what you will cover in the last paragraph of your answer. So in the second last paragraph, you had already discussed about certain case laws and how the Supreme Court tried to uphold the fundamental rights of the citizens in those cases. So your very next paragraph in the form of a conclusion should also consist of certain aspects related to fundamental rights. That way it will ensure some continuity in your answer. So what can we include as part of our conclusion? We can say that fundamental rights are dynamic and timeless rights. They highlight the dynamic and timeless rights of equality and liberty. All right. Once you have mentioned this kind of a character or nature of fundamental rights, then in the very last line, you will mention that it would be against the principles of our constitution to give them, what is this them referring to? It is referring to the fundamental rights. Okay, to give the fundamental rights a static interpretation without recognizing their transformative and evolving nature. Okay, so in the very last paragraph of your answer also, you are again coming back to the term transformative. And this is how you will make sure that your entire answer, right from the first paragraph of introduction to the very last paragraph of conclusion, Every paragraph is consisting of the term transformative, and through this manner, you will ensure that your entire answer is relevant. Everything that you have included in your answer is relevant. Every paragraph, every sentence has been used in the answer because it further explains the term transformative constitutionalism. So this is how you can prepare an answer framework for any question. Okay, you can divide your answer into 3 portions: introduction, main body, conclusion. And in this particular answer framework, you can see as part of introduction, we have discussed what do you mean by constitutionalism. We have also talked about transformative constitution. And then as part of the main body, we have seen how the various transformations can be illustrated, okay, with the from to kind of representations. Then through these case laws, you can illustrate how the courts have tried to show the practical manifestation of the concept of transformative constitutionalism. All right. And then finally, you will conclude with the help of highlighting the timeless and the dynamic nature of the fundamental rights and how they need a transformative and evolving kind of an interpretation, not a static interpretation. This brings us to the end of today's discussion. I hope this discussion was helpful to all of you. This is part of the free law answer writing initiative by Chrysalis IES. To get the maximum benefit of this initiative, make sure that you sit down and write an answer on this question. You can get your answer evaluated for free by uploading it on our website. The relevant link to upload the files can be found in the description box below. Please check that out. Or you can visit our website chrysalises.com for the details of other programs, especially the law answer writing and revision program, which is by far our most popular and successful program. This year, more than 90% of our law RP and test series students who actually went ahead and wrote mains have cleared mains. I wish them all the very best for their interviews, and I hope they get the much desired success at the final level. If you found this video to be helpful, you may subscribe to our channel so that you can be timely updated about more such discussion videos. I'll see you again soon with another important discussion. Until then, take care and have a good day.